Alright, what's next on the list of videos? My phone about to die. Um, what's next? I got the short film. Still not done that yet. I got the review for This Is Us. I promised that earlier this year, but that's going to take a while because of buying DVDs and other stuff. I don't know. Big Time Rush. I tried to do that, but copyright screwed me over. The Sonic Forces rant. I may say that for next year. Um, every episode of iCarly season 4 reviewed. Yeah, why not?
Hey guys, Ev's back to entertain, and here we are with every episode of iCarly Season 4 review. So far, the Dan Schneider shows have been pretty consistent in quality, all things considered. As of now, it's 2010, and Dan Schneider has been continuing his work for Schneider's Bakery since 2003, and he's been on Nick and General since 1994, with all that. So far, he's established a fair reputation as one of the most prominent producers of the late 90s to early to mid 2000s. Drake and Josh lasted for 4 seasons and was a great success for Nickelodeon, and for good reason. Even though obviously the show isn't perfect, I think season 1 was rather meh, and season 3 ranged from really good to really bad. The other 2 seasons were quite solid. iCarly tries to continue the same success from Drake and Josh, and does do that in a certain way, as it does have that charm that was in Drake and Josh. However, in retrospect, the first couple seasons of iCarly aren't as amazing as people think they are. Season 1 may be nostalgic, but really suffers from cringy dialogue and some mean-spirited moments. Season 2 was like Drake and Josh Season 3, where it ranges from really good to outright insufferable. However, with Season 3, it seems that they've sparked some sort of magic, because so far it's been the first really good season of iCarly for me. It's not amazing or anything, but to tell you the truth, it's pretty good. Does Season 4 of iCarly continue the quality standard of Season 3? I guess we're about to find out. Episode 1, I Got a Hot Room. It is Carly's birthday, and Spencer gets her a gummy bear lamp, and the lamp unfortunately catches on fire and burns Carly's whole room. So with this season, even Victoria's Season 2, which I'll get to later, I feel like around 2010 was like a transitional period, if you will, from the classic Dan Schneider content to the modern Dan Schneider content. It'll be more clear with the next couple episodes, and especially the next season, but seems that starting with this season, the writers tried to aim for somewhat of like a wackiness, somewhat sketch comedy-like approach that Dan Schneider's earlier shows have. I'm inclined to say they're trying to replicate the magic of Drake and Josh, but in all honesty, it seems like they're trying to have these wacky scenarios like in All That and The Amanda Show or something and pad it out as episode formats. It's really hard to explain in great detail, but I definitely got a different feel from this season compared to the previous seasons. Even when I was younger, I'd noticed that something was just different about the feel of the show compared to the previous seasons. It's even reflective in the new, more electronic-sounding transition music. In the first 3 seasons, the transition music was these guitar riffs that sounded pretty nice, that were similar to Drake and Josh, really. However, now the actual guitar riffs are replaced with these synthy, like Sonic Forces-y electronic riffs. I'm sorry, I never really liked these. It just seems so tacky to me. Like, it just sounds off. It just go from, barna 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 to like, it just sounds so ugh. But I digress. I should be talking about the episode at hand here, and the episode itself is pretty good, though I'll be honest, it has its flaws. On the plus side, the episode has a really nice vibe to it, if that makes sense. It has Spencer going out of his way to really make Carly have the best birthday here, and it's really nice to see. I also like how Sam and Freddie aren't really argumentative in this episode, which is pretty refreshing, not gonna lie. I should also mention in this episode, Gibby starts to become a main cast member. I feel overall meh about it, I guess, but I think that he's pretty alright in this episode. Let me tell you though, I really like Spencer in this episode. Granted, I like him in majority of the episodes, but I love him seeing him try to make big gestures for his sister. He seems very genuine about it the whole time. Not to mention, I do like the haircut he got at the beginning. I love the whole entire exchange at the Groovy Smoothie with Carly and Tebow. I love the part where Spencer was marking attendance of who was there to fix Carly's room, and some audio dude is just like, "I'm Ed!" The episode isn't without its flaws, though. For one, I feel the episode is sort of filler-y in the beginning. The whole scene with Spencer getting his haircut is funny and doesn't bother me too much, but I feel like that if you cut that scene out, then you wouldn't really lose much. I get it, it was supposed to be there to set up the fact that he had his gummy bear lamp or whatever. Did Jerry Trainer just plan to have a haircut and they just had that in the episode? I don't know. Also, again, it doesn't bother me too much, but because I understand now because I'm 18, but the whole insurance check thing goes way too fast, and for a target audience, which is kids and preteens, it can easily fly over kids' heads and be somewhat confusing. However, other than those little things, the episode is really good. It's a great season opener. Episode 66, I, Sam's Mom. Sam moves in with the Shays after she has a bad argument with her mom. Meanwhile, Freddy is in danger because this criminal is out to get him after exposing him for stealing cameras. So Jane Lynch guest stars as Sam's mom, and that's cool, except the episode is not that well written. I'll be honest, the first half of this episode is just painfully unfunny. The whole thing where Spencer is like, why are celebrities underwater on my DVR is funny, but other than that, the whole panties exchange is just not funny at all. Also, just like an I Space Out, seeing Carly act the way she does when she's claustrophobic is just not really funny or amusing at all. On the one hand, I really like the subplot with Freddy's mom, Spencer, and his bodyguard named Gunsmoke. This Gunsmoke dude just literally has it out for Spencer, and it's pretty funny. Also, this dude has some prejudice against guys who drinks lemonade, and it's just so out of pocket that I love it. The Carly, Sam, and Sam's mom main plot isn't terrible. It really isn't, but it's just rather, nah. There are some funny jokes like Sam's mom telling Sam that she sold her pet to foreigners. And I like the reference to Melanie, from iTwins, but everything else is just them being trapped in a stupid box. It reminds me of those mundane Drake and Josh season 4 plots like The Wedding and even Treehouse where they're just stuck in a place and the comedy just goes from there. I wasn't the biggest fan of those episodes either, but at least in those plots it was mildly funny at worst. The episode is meh, but it was sort of close to being good just from the subplot alone. The beginning was funnier, and the main plot had more going on than just arguing and cringy claustrophobia. It would have been pretty good. If it came on TV, I'd probably watch it, but I don't think it's really anything amazing or anything really good. Episode 67, I Get Pranky. Spencer gets pranky and pulls pranks on the entire iCarly gang. This episode is rather iconic to fans, mainly for this corny pop song during some montage in the middle of it. But barring the montage in the middle of it, I say that this episode is pretty good. The only gripe is this scene where Sam electrocutes Freddy with a pen, and the fact that Sam seems kind of callous about it. It's going to be delved more in the next season, or next episode, I mean. But let me tell you that this season, they for some reason turned Sam from a troublemaker to an outright sociopath, and I just think it's just flenderization. She definitely has issues. It's been established before, but they should never go this far. Also, there's this line where Sam says, if I didn't have a little crush on you, you'd get this butt kick to your face bit, or something along those lines. And at first I thought it was an incredibly stupid line because I hate how the writers seem to ship everyone in the show. But then I heard that Jeanette McCurdy apparently had a crush on Jerry Trainer during season 1, and they were mocking that, and admittedly that's funny to know. Anyway, as for the rest of this episode, it's incredibly funny. All the gags Spencer pulls on the gang are hilarious. My favorite was him just taking Freddy's gear and then it just comes out dancing shirtless while it's just really weird, and I just love it. There's some stupid moments with this episode, however. I don't think that pranking is something that you should be peer pressured to doing. I get it, it's a joke, but I mean, it's not like it's kissing or sex or whatever where it actually means something when you do the first time. So the way that this all kickstarted was just kind of stupid. Also, like I said before, where Sam just nonchalantly electrocutes Freddy and makes him unconscious just really rubs me the wrong way. I think it's because Sam, or Jeanette McCurdy for that matter, has a smug grin on her face after it, but I don't know, I just hate that part. Also, the ending of this episode, I both like and dislike. It's funny seeing Spencer getting beaten up by his high school peers, but the way they just run away is just incredibly sloppy. I don't know what's up with Dan Schneider, but his whole having abrupt endings like this, it plagues his next couple shows. It just makes it so grating, but I digress. The episode isn't amazing or anything, but overall this episode is a joy to watch. Episode 68, I Sell Penny Tees. Curly, Sam, and Freddy have to sell these shirts called penny tees, but they have different ways of making them. This is one of the more infamous episodes of the show, and yeah, I can totally see why. I'm going to lay it out there. I may not have loved Sam in the first 3 seasons, but this season, like I said before, she goes from a troublemaker to a sociopath, and it's just really, really upsetting to see. This season, she literally has children work in sweatshop, or this episode, she literally has children work in sweatshops to make shirts, and it's like, I get it, it's supposed to be horrible, and supposed to be kind of a joke, but exactly what's so funny about the situation? To be absolutely fair, the episode does have its moments. For example, Sam literally slapping Freddy in the face for virtually no reason was sort of funny. And it's one little thing, but when the kids leave Carly and Freddy's workshop, there's literally this one kid that's just sleeping, and it's in the background, so nobody acknowledges it, but my last rewatch, I thought that was pretty funny. Also, Sam telling people to shut up at the end is pretty funny, but however, a few funny moments can't save a otherwise really terrible episode. 5, 4, 3, 2 bad. I don't think it's a sin against humanity or anything. I don't think it's as bad as people say, only because it did make me laugh a few times, which is more I could say for episodes like I'm Your Fred or I Date a Bad Boy, or even terrible episodes of season 3 like I Beat the Heat. But even still, man, Sam is just beyond out of character here. She has been in juvie. That's the worst it should be for her. Not this whole 1920s child labor stuff. It's just so unpleasant to watch. To elaborate more onto why I don't hate this episode as much as others do, well, for one, it's not yet another Seizen plot where the wrong comes out on top in one way or another. Sam is clearly the antagonist in this episode, and for once she gets called out on it, and ultimately her plan fails. Granted, her main goal was to make shirts. It's not like she was maliciously having children work for her, but still, what she did was awful, and she at least, got some consequences, or she got some comeuppance for it. Secondly, the episode, like I said, does have its funny moments, like Sam slapping Freddy, the one dude sleeping, and Sam shut up to Tebow at the end. Even little things, like a literal toothbrush being in the one kid's sandwich and Sam's callous remark to it. Again, it all comes with a caveat in which the episode is really not that funny, and even though Sam is clearly the antagonist here, her comeuppance isn't really that much, as the kids just leave on their own. It's not like anyone other than Carly and Freddy knew about this, so that reminds me, why didn't any of the parents confront Sam about this? Bah! Overall, yeah, it's a really bad episode, and it completely flanderizes Sam. Episode 69, haha. I do. Carly, Sam, Freddy, and Spencer go to Wisconsin for the wedding of some iCarly fan. This episode really goes out of its way to be terrible. 5, 4, 3, too bad. There's not really a big lingering problem in this episode that ruins it, like the nastiness of I Me Fred, the sheer stupidity of I Believe in Bigfoot, or even I Psycho, or even the lack of meaningful content like I Stake Out. No, it's a lot, and I mean a lot of little things that just munch away anything good from it. So the people getting married are these two iCarly fans, Gordon and Jody, in which, they're both iCarly fans, and Gordon proposes to Jody on iCarly, and it basically gets the ball rolling. The story itself actually isn't too bad. It's straightforward and makes sense, but good God, everything about this is just wrong and stupid. I can sort of understand why Jody would be into Spencer, because he's charismatic and a nice guy and whatnot, but I can't imagine how heartbreaking and embarrassing it would be for Gordon. I mean, it's been supposedly years of them dating. He proposed, and then for some reason his whole family gets mad at the iCarly crew instead of, Jody for basically emotionally cheating on him. It's so stupid. There are a few funny moments, like Gibby dressed as a bear instead of a ring bearer, and the Gibby plot where he goes through all this stuff trying to get a dollar that's stuck in the tree, and then some old lady gets involved. It's pretty alright, I guess, but that's about it. The thing with the humor in this episode is that, unlike other bad episodes, the comedy actively tries way too fucking hard to be funny, and it all comes off as very mean-spirited and very spiteful. There's this guy named Jeb, who's Gordon's brother or cousin, I don't really care. He's mean to Freddy because he was supposed to be his best man, but he doesn't appear for too long, but the 2 times he is there, I just can't stand him. Maybe it's because I'm so sick of people treating Freddy like garbage in these shows, but yeah, I just hate this guy. Yeah, this is other running gag where Sam is just eating off this platter of fish sticks, and it's just whatever. I mean, it's not funny, but it's par for the course for the character for me. But then she makes this offhand comment about Spencer's butt that just comes off as very sexual, harassy, and I get it. It's a joke, supposedly, but it's just so dumb and not funny and just really off-putting. To make it worse, Spencer goes on and on and on about his butt, and it's just painfully unfunny. I think they're trying to go for sketch humor once again, and they just did an absolutely terrible job at it. Sketch humor doesn't work if you're literally doing the same gag over and over. And lastly, there's a song at the end called Shakespeare that in the show was written by Gordon, but in reality is actually a song by Miranda Cosgrove. And while I don't really care for Miranda Cosgrove as a singer that much, I think the song itself is alright. I really don't listen to it outside of the show, but I guess it's one of the better things in this episode, which is not saying much because the song itself is not that great. So, needless to say, this episode is just awful all around. Episode 70, I Start a Fan War. Carly, Sam, Freddy, and Spencer go to WeaponCon, in which they come across a bunch of fans that either ship Sam and Freddy, aka Seti, or Carly and Freddy, aka Creddy. But what about Carly and Sam? I guess Nick wouldn't allow it. Shut up. Ironically, this is one of the few episodes that has actually gotten better for me as I watch it more. Like, I'll get straight to it. I think this is a pretty good episode. I won't do a scene-by-scene breakdown like I usually do for the specials, but I'll just sort of skid through the plot. The beginning of this episode, in all honesty, is just really bad and gave me a very bad first impression in my last rewatch. It's just Carly crushing over generic skinny white guy number 35. I just feel the dialogue is just very bland and forced here. Eventually, Carly video chats with them, and they plan to hang out sometime soon, and he surprises her at WeaponCon. Or WeaponCon, whatever it freaking is. Carly, Sam, and Freddy go to WeaponCon to have an event for Carly fans, but Spencer goes as well to go to some video game convention in which he and a bunch of others are cosplaying as these characters in the RPG. The fans start asking the three about their love life, and that's when the whole Creddy versus Seti fan war starts to happen. The generic skinny white guy number 35 starts getting jealous over the whole creddy thing and leaves. Carly tries to affirm that this is a dating show, yada yada yada. Not to mention, Gibby tries to attend WebiCon too, but his grandpa takes forever to get there, and it's a little side story that doesn't really involve much. Why didn't Gibby just tag along with the crew? I have no clue, but whatever, Muppets. The reason why I quite like this episode is mostly because the humor quite works. I think the Ghibli subplot has moments of being really funny, even though it really doesn't amount to anything, such as his grandpa literally driving off with a cashier at the door. I think the Spencer subplot is incredibly dumb, but that's basically the point. But what I like about this is that it's a parody, but it doesn't seem very spiteful. A lot of times with nerd stuff in Dan Schneider, it comes off as very spiteful. Maybe that's why I hated Sam's little rant and I'd staged an intervention at first, but no, it's just cosplay and it's over dramatic, but it's totally the point. The plot also gets brownie points for having Jack Black as a guest star, and honestly, this episode made me realize that that dude is one talented guy. He's not just a very good actor, he's a very good voice actor, and in this episode, he's a really good singer. As for the main plot, there are some good little quips in there as well, like Craig and Eric and Gavin, of all people, being in the audience, from Drake and Josh. Even though, according to I Get Pranky, Drake and Josh is a show within the iCarly universe, so I don't get how this canonically makes sense, but whatever. Not to mention the audience members throughout really cracked me up. Also, admittedly, I think Sam actually is kind of funny in this episode. She's not overly spiteful to Freddy. I find it funny when she was just like, it's true, Carly and Sam are deep in love, right in front of the skinny generic white guy number 35. This episode does have flaws, though, however. For one, for every good joke, there are some other dumb little things, like how when Carly was talking about looking into Freddy's black head at one point, it's hard to explain, but the way that's set up, it just starts out kind of funny, but then Carly's line just makes it incredibly stupid. I don't know. I like the song that Spencer and Jack Black sang, but some of the lyrics are are a little bit too corny for me. And once again, it's just another episode that has a really abrupt ending, and it just doesn't feel satisfying at all. It's just another stupid ending where something happens and the trio just leaves. This happens a lot with Drake and Josh season 4, and it's like, I don't know why the team thinks that this makes a satisfying ending. Like, you need a resolution to your story. Like, that's it. You can't just leave and just expect the conflict to just, whatever. What gets me is that Carly makes this nice speech, but it's just completely nullified by the fans going at it. For these reasons, plus the really awful beginning, I think the episode isn't great, or really that good, to tell you the truth, but it's a joy to watch. Episode 71, I Hire an Idiot. The iCarly crew fight over their new intern. This is another infamous episode where, it's not universally hated like I Me Fred, but I've seen people voice complaints over it through YouTube comments and even on Reddit, and personally, I think it's meh. Why is that? Because finally, Freddy doesn't get his way in something, but he actually does something to combat it. What I mean is that Carly and Sam are basically swooning over this guy named Court who's good intentioned, but dangerously stupid. And honestly, that by itself gets incredibly grating. I don't know if it's the way it's presented or even just the acting, but the constant swooning that these two do over him is just really annoying. I get it, they're teenage girls and they will like who they like, but it's just cartoonish and way too over the top, and it's not funny at all. It's just incredibly dumb. It doesn't help that if it weren't for the fact that he's nice and has a sort of personality, I just call him generic skinny white guy number 47. Not to mention, it seems really out of character for Sam to act like this. Like, Carly I get because she likes Griffin and the Bad Boys or whatever. It just doesn't seem really, I don't know, it seems really off seeing Sam act like this. Maybe it's because I'm not used to seeing her act girly again and not a freaking sociopath after seeing the majority of the season, but it had to be said. However, what saved this episode is that Freddy has a pretty nice plan. He brings his own hot intern who's dumb as well, but later on it's revealed that his intern acted dumb so that Carly and Sam could fire Court, and it's brilliant. Honestly, just him doing this plan alone makes me not want to hate this episode. The episode has its funny moments as well, like the subplot with Spencer as he tries to get a sculpture in some art museum to prove he's not a loser to his granddad, plus Spencer stepping on Freddy's pizza. Plus, Spencer stepping on Freddy's pizza in the beginning was pretty funny. Also, with this season, the show starts to get more detached from the web show aspect. It gets worse in the next seasons, but this episode, it is nice to see them actually talk about something regarding the web show again. The episode isn't good at all. The constant swooning that Carly and Sam do gets really grating really fast. Now, I honestly don't know why the writers thought this would be appealing to watch, and the comedy itself isn't really that good. Not to mention, for this episode, and this episode only, it continues more of that stupid Snyder slang with this word called scutter that Sam and Spencer both say at some point, and it's dumb and unfunny, but it's whatever. Overall, the episode is meh, but I can understand why people don't like it. Episode 72, I Pity the Neville. After Neville has a massive fall from grace, the iCarly gang celebrates. However, Neville comes to them asking for their help, and while reluctant at first, they try to help him out. If there was one episode that kind of solidifies the shift in direction when it comes to the writing of the show, it's this one right here. Three things specifically. Firstly, there is no real subplot of this episode, but unlike previous episodes with no subplot, it's incredibly self-aware and meta about it, but in the dumbest way possible. Randomly, Spencer is just sitting there and it's like, I want something to do. Like, I just have nothing to do. And what gets me is the vibe that I get from this is just the writers acknowledging that they don't know what to do when it comes to subplots or just Spencer in general. And quite frankly, I find that lazy. Pointing out your problems does not fix them. Secondly, I guess thirdly, while this problem isn't exactly new to Mara Dan Schneider, there's a sort of nastiness with this episode, both in tone, both in tone and in what's actually going on. In terms of tone, I understand why they did it, but them literally throwing a party at Neville's expense is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's reasonable and it's amusing, but at the same time, it just seems kind of cruel that when someone is basically getting canceled, there are just a bunch of people actively celebrating it. Now, when it comes to what actually happens, there's this one gross scene where Neville drinks out of a shoe to prove his innocence. And it's just nasty, especially when he finds a dead cricket in it. Gross out can be whatever, but just for future writers out there, just please don't push it. At worst, the gross out can be literally enough to destroy an episode. Spoiler warning now, there's this one episode in Season 2 of Hammer Danger in which the gross out in the beginning is so revolting that it automatically makes it one of the worst episodes I've ever seen from the show. But I digress. Other than those moments of stupidity, I think the episode is just fine. Despite how meta they treat it, I do like the fact that the story is straightforward and there is no obtuse subplot. The whole werewolf gag with Freddy is not the peak of comedy or anything, but it's amusing. It's kind of like Sam's Mom, where if this episode came out on TV, I'd watch it, but critically, I don't think it's a very good episode. Episode 73, IOMG. The iCarly gang are in school for this all-night lockdown to get some projects done. Carly and Gibby are doing these, and I quote, tests with Spencer, and Sam, Freddy, and this guy from I Hire an Idiot named Brad work on this project, which is supposed to be technology that detects someone's mood from afar. I don't know how it works, but magic. Alright, I'll just get straight to the point. This episode sucks, but not for the reason that you think. So the reason it's called IOMG is because at the end it's revealed that Sam has feelings for Freddy as she goes in for a kiss, which Carly watches in the background. Honestly, the plots with Sam, Freddy, and Brad is alright. The show does a pretty good job making it obvious that Sam loves Brad, but not entirely out of the question that she likes Freddy instead. Nothing is really that funny, but at least it's competently written. No, what makes this episode just annoying is just the god-awful Carly, Spencer, and Gibby plot. Carly and Gibby just trap Spencer in some big box and let the horrible, tasteless sadism humor commence, because literally all they do is just torture Spencer in this big box. I don't know. I don't really understand what the project is. Like, common fucking sense is that they all get pain from being electrocuted or when the music is too loud. Like, none of this is funny. I can just figure this out from the get-go. None of this is funny. None of this makes sense. It's just terrible, sadistic humor that ruins the episode for me. It wouldn't be as bad if it had an actual ending, but it wouldn't be so bad if it had an actual ending to it, but it doesn't. Despite how iconic the kiss is at the end, the episode has absolutely no resolution, and none of the loose ends are tied. Granted, part of that is not this episode's fault, it's just the future episodes doing a terrible job of storytelling, but even still, Brad's never seen it again, the projects are never mentioned, the story is just really bad around this part. So, it kickstarts the city arc, and yeah, we're going to go into that dreadful territory, but yeah, this episode is really terrible. 5, 4, 3, too bad. Episode 74, I Party with Victorious. The iCarly gang and the Victorious gang crossover. I'm not going to do a scene-by-scene breakdown for this video because that take up half the review, because this is today one of, if not the longest episode of Schneider's Bakery shows. The extended, unedited cut of the episode is literally more than an hour, and it's on Paramount Plus, so enjoy that if you want to, except you're not going to because, well, this episode is another episode that a lot of people remember and overall like. Heck, there are some episodes who don't even care about iCarly or Victorious or whatever and enjoy the crossover. But quite frankly, I absolutely disagree because this is a terrible crossover. Yep, 5, 4, 3, too bad. The biggest problem I have with I Party with Victorious is that despite being a crossover, and a long, long one at that, there is barely any interaction at all with the iCarly characters and the Victorious characters. Honestly, how do you screw this up? Literally, the main appeal of crossovers is seeing the characters from different universes interact in some way or another, but other than Tori interacting with the iCarly gang towards the end of it and the Leave It All to Shine song at the end, there's barely any crossing over whatsoever. The song at the end is cool and easily the best part of it, but even still, that's just something basic you gotta do in episodes like that. Secondly, like I said before, this episode goes on for way, way too long. Obviously, I don't have a problem with movies or whatever, even hour-long episodes by themselves, but it's just a bunch of useless, poorly written fluff that just fills in the whole entire hour and a half. To be fair, there are a few jokes in there that make me laugh, like Spencer's book club meeting, and I know this is kind of crossing over to Victoria's territory, but Andrew trying to keep up the panda and whatnot, but the comedy itself is just not up to par. Granted, it's not really saying much because the comedy this season has been that great to begin with, but I digress. Kenan Thompson is in this episode, and that's cool, I guess, but other than that, and the song at the end, there's almost nothing that I really like. I think the storytelling is just incredibly subpar, and you'd think that a crossover of these shows would be amazing, but it just outright sucks. I do plan to do like an actual review, like an outright separate video for this special one day, but just know now that the story sucks, the comedy sucks, it's padded out way too long, and I just don't like this episode at all. And that is every episode of iCarly Season 4 reviewed. Let's look at the stats. There are 3 good episodes, 3 mad episodes, and 4 5, 4, 3, 2 bad episodes. Oh boy. Well, despite the fact that there are more bad episodes than anything else, I will be nice to say that overall my iCarly Season 4 experience was in the middle. So it was meh, but without a doubt in my mind, this is the weakest season so far. I'm serious, dude. The writing and the storytelling has just really gone off the rails. It just comes off as very tacky and lazy, especially in the back half. Overall, it falls under meh, however, because all things considered, nothing in Season 4 is to the absolute extreme. The good episodes aren't really all that good and have some really stupid moments, and the bad episodes, while terrible for the most part, are nowhere near as bad as the worst episodes of Season 2 and whatnot. However, just the overall direction of Season 4 has just taken a turn for the worst, and there's a reason why there's more bad episodes than anything else. Look, I may rag on Season 1, but at least that season has, competent writing, has just heart and charm into it. I don't get that feeling with Season 4, and to tell you the truth, I don't get that feeling at all in the next 2 seasons. So I'll see y'all next time with iCarly Season 5, where things get really rocky. But I'm Ev, here to entertain, and have a good day.